Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Before we read, let's invoke the blessing of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarvakaran Karanam. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So dear devotees, we have been reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. We finished the introduction, we finished the first verse. Now we are at second verse. First chapter of first canto, second verse. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vyasadeva ki jai. धर्म प्रोज्झित कैतवो अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सताम् वेद्यं वास्तवम् अत्र वस्तु शिवदं तपत्रयोन्मूलम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा प्रईश्वरः सद्यो हृदय अवरुध्य ते अत्र कीर्तिभिः शुशुभिः तत्क्षणात्. Dharma, religiosity. Projita, completely rejected. Ketava, covered by fruitive intention. Atra, herein. Parma, the highest. Nirmatsara, Nam, of 100% pure in heart. Satam, devotees. Vedyam, understandable. Vastvam, factual. Atra, herein. Vastu, substance. Shivdam, well-being. Tapatraya, threefold miseries. Anmulanam, causing uprooting of. Srimad, beautiful. Bhagavate, Bhagavat Puran. Mahamuni, great sage Vyasadeva. Krite, having compiled. Kim, what is. Va, the need. Parahad, others. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. Sadhya, at once. Hridi, within the heart. Avrudhyate, becomes compact. Atra, herein. Kritivihi, by pious men. Shushrusubhi, by culture. Takshanat, without delay. Translation. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Puran propounds the highest truth which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Purport. Religion includes four primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally, liberation from the bondage, material bondage. A religious life is a barbarous condition. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. Eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating are the four principles of animal life. These are common to both animals and to human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. In the lower stages of human realization, there is always competition to lord it over the material nature. Or, in other words, there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. He thus performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so called religion is neglected. This is the situation in modern civilization. Man is thriving economically, so at present he is not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, cinemas than in religious places which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes to salvation or try to become one with the Supreme Lord. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. In the Vedas, above mentioned four activities are prescribed in the regulated way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratifactory activities. It is purely transcendental literature, which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord, who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. They do not compete with materialists because they are on the path back to Godhead, where life is eternal and blissful. Such transcendentalists are non envious and pure in heart. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well wishers to everyone, and they thrive to establish a competition less society with God in the center. The contemporary socialist conception of competition less society is artificial because in the society state there is competition for the post of dictator. From the point of view of the Vedas or from the point of view of common human activities, sense gratification is the basis of material life. There are three paths mentioned in the Vedas. One involves fruitive activities to gain promotion to better planets. Another involves worshipping different demigods for promotion to the planets of demigods. And another involves realizing absolute truth and his impersonal feature becoming one with him. The impersonal aspects of absolute truth is not the highest. Above the impersonal aspects or impersonal feature is the Paramatma feature. And above this is the personal feature of the absolute truth or Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about absolute truth in his personal feature. It is higher than the impersonalist literature and higher than the Jnana Kanda division of the Vedas. It is even higher than the Karma Kanda division and even higher than the Upasana Kanda division because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. In the Karma Kanda, there is competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification. And there is similar competition in Gyan Kanda and the Upasana Kanda. The Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all these aims. The Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all of these because it aims at supreme truth, which is the substance or the root of all the categories. From Srimad Bhagavatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. The substance is the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, and all emanations are relative forms of the energy. Nothing is apart from the substance, but at the same time, energies are different from the substance. This conception is not contradictory. Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly promulgates this simultaneously one and different philosophy of Vedanta Sutra, which begins with the Janmadi Yasya Sutra. This knowledge that the energy of the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord is an answer to the mental speculators' attempt to establish the energy as the absolute. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conception of monism and dualism to be imperfect. Development of this transcendental consciousness, grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and different, leads one immediately to the stage of freedom from threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are: number one, those miseries which arise from the mind and the body; number two, those miseries inflicted by another living entities; number three, those miseries arising from natural catastrophes over which one has no control. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the Absolute Person. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the Absolute and at the same time in the eternal position of the servant to the Absolute. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself the Lord of all he surveys, and therefore he is always troubled by threefold miseries of life. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all the miseries. As long as living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant of the Supreme. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material material encumbrances. Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life through the mercy of Narada. Sri Vyasadeva is the authorized incarnation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no question as to his authority. He is the author of all Vedic literatures. Yet he recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam above all others. In other Puranas, there are different methods set forth by which one can worship the demigods, but in Bhagavatam only the Supreme Lord is mentioned. This Supreme Lord is the total body, and demigods are different parts of that body. Consequently, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one does not need to worship the demigods. The Supreme Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended the Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Purana, and it distinguishes it from all other Puranas. The proper method of receiving this transcendental knowledge is to hear it submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. One particular word is used herein for proper guidance. This word is sushrusu. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. So we'll stop here in the interest of time. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Vyasadeva ki jai. So now we will read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. So we have been reading from sixth volume of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and we started chapter 4, At Home in India. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. And Prabhupada reached New Delhi, August 22nd, 1975. At 9:15 in the morning, Srila Prabhupada had and several of his leading disciples arrived at Prime Minister's home, where they were confronted by the formidable security check. 2 days before, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh had been assassinated, and Mrs. Gandhi was rumored to be next. Armed soldiers therefore surrounded her residence. The guards at the outer gate decided that the foreigner could not go in. Srila Prabhupada alone could enter. While one guard opened the gate, another ushered Srila Prabhupada into a car, which carried him to the Prime Minister's front door. Meanwhile, devotees waited in anxiety by the outer gate. Always some disciple would accompany Prabhupada wherever he went. His disciples worried, almost like doting parents, that he might need their assistance. In tiny, cramped handwriting, Srila Prabhupada had noted down in a small address book a list of points he wanted to discuss with Mrs. Gandhi. Number 1. Grant immigration for 500 foreigners. Number 2. All MPs initiated Brahmanas. Number 3. Sanjaya the king. Number 4. Close slaughterhouses. Number 5. Chanting. Number 6. Meat eaters at home. No public meat eating. Number 7. Prostitution punishable. Number 8. No religious group accept Bhagavad Gita as it is. Number 9. All government officers must join Kirtana at least twice a day. Number 10. Support Krishna consciousness all over the world. The most pressing item was at the head of the list. Mrs. Gandhi should grant permanent visas to Prabhupada Western disciples in India. Just a few weeks before, some of the foreign devotees in Mayapur had been asked to leave the country. For years, Prabhupada had been asking for permanent visas whenever he met governors, members of parliament, or other men of influence. Devotees were constantly being asked to leave the country to renew their 6-month visa. The travel cost incurred and disruption of devotees' services seriously hampered ISKCON's work in India. Therefore, Prabhupada wanted Indira Gandhi to sanction up to 500 foreign disciples to stay permanently in India. The other points on Srila Prabhupada's list were scriptural direction for how the Prime Minister could make her leadership Krishna conscious in the spirit of great Raja Rishis of Vedic age. These were the same tenets of God conscious leadership he preached wherever he went. And he had deep conviction that if world leaders would apply them, an era of peace, prosperity, and happiness would dawn. Indira Gandhi had a tendency towards authoritative control, so she should exercise in terms of Vedic direction. Then her rule could become most effective and beneficial. A government official opened the door to Srila Prabhupada's car, ushered him into the house, brought him before the Prime Minister. As Prabhupada entered the room, Mrs. Gandhi stood up, Although she greeted him cordially and offered him a seat, he could immediately detect that she was distracted, fearful for her life. She openly admitted it and added that this was not, therefore, a good time for their meeting. Prabhupada felt that she would have preferred not to meet at all, but was allowing it only because she had promised. Her agreeing to see him, he felt, was an indication that she had some attraction for spiritual life. But he understood that on this visit, at least he could not introduce the extensive advice he had been contemplating. Mrs. Gandhi complimented Srila Prabhupada on the work he was doing all over the world. They are good boys, he replied, and he asked if she could arrange for permanent visas. She agreed, but again mentioned her present anxiety. They soon ended their talk, and Srila Prabhupada left. A few days later, while still in New Delhi, Srila Prabhupada received a letter from Rameshwara. The BBT in Los Angeles was miraculously fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's order to publish 17 volumes in 2 months. The composers, editors, artists, and workers had ecstatically finished their marathon on schedule. When the first books had come back from the printers and had been offered on the altar of Rukmani Dwarkadish, the devotees had cried in transcendental bliss, chanting again and again the mantras to Srila Prabhupada. They were feeling the potency of the order of their spiritual master and seeing themselves as instruments in carrying out what had once seemed an impossible request. Today, our composer finished the last volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita. By Wednesday next week, August 20th, all volumes will be at the printer. Now they are just starting to compose the fifth canto, and the entire canto will definitely be at printer by Vyasa Puja Day. After promising delivery of books by October at the latest, the letter was signed by about 60 devotees. Your unworthy servants at ISKCON Press, on their behalf, Rameshwara stated, we have lost all desires to do anything except he be engaged in producing and distributing your transcendental books by the millions in every town and village. Srila Prabhupada wrote back the next day from Delhi. Regarding your desires for all 12 cantos, you will get in, rest assured. Your so much ardent desire will be fulfilled by Krishna. On August 21st, Rameshwara sent Srila Prabhupada a telegram. By the mercy of Lord Balaram, Nityananda, the last volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita is leaving today for the printer. By your mercy and divine order, it is done. Although Srila Prabhupada traveling on to Vrindavana, the devotees were able to dispatch advance copies of all 15 volumes to him by his 18th birthday on August 31st. Just after Prabhupada observed the ceremony in the temple, a devotee arrived in the Vrindavan with the final 6 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. With great relish and satisfaction, Srila Prabhupada examined the books. He was pleased with artwork and quickly became absorbed in reading the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. He felt so inspired, he remarked to devotees in Vrindavan that he was thinking of stopping all touring and just staying in Vrindavana and translating. The reciprocation of devotees at ISKCON Press was so sincere that it increased Srila Prabhupada's desire to reciprocate with them. He wrote to My dear Rameshwara and company, you have taken seriously the publishing and also distribution of these books. That is the success of our mission. You have taken seriously this work, and I know that my Guru Maharaj is pleased with you because he wanted this. So by this endeavor, you will all go back home, back to Godhead. Although Srila Prabhupada had mentioned that he would like to sit in Vrindavana and simply translate Srimad Bhagavatam, his stay there was characterized by intensive management, not by writing. He had presided over the grand opening of Krishna Balaram Mandir 4 months earlier, and now he would demonstrate how the temple should be run. The Krishna Balaram Mandir was a Vedic temple complex at a famous holy place, and it was being scrutinized by persons already strongly opinionated on how a temple should be run. Immediately, Prabhupada found discrepancies. In the greenhouse, which was for guests, not disciples, he found married disciples living with their children. This was not proper, he said. These families would have to find other quarters nearby or leave Vrindavan. He also found problems with the plumbing, the municipal sewage system, the financial management, the deity worship, the cleanliness, and devotees' behavior. Almost every area of the temple life and every devotee required special attention. In the smallest discrepancies, Prabhupada would sometimes see the essence of all problems, and he would instantly point it out. And because his disciples took his words with utmost seriousness, as coming directly from Krishna, his reprimands were often devastating. Prabhupada was a difficult taskmaster. A Vaishnava is said to be as soft as rose and as hard as thunderbolt. A Vaishnava is said to be as soft as rose and as hard as thunderbolt. But Prabhupada began showing more the thunderbolt side of his personality. Sometimes a neophyte's conception of the spiritual master is that he must always be peaceful and pleased with everything that happens, and that this is the sign of his being situated in transcendental consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, however, demonstrated many moods, including anger. In its material form, anger, krodha, is described in Bhagavad Gita as occurring when one's lust, kama, cannot be fully satisfied. A true sadhu, therefore, because he does not have lusty desire, does not become possessed by anger. The Vaishnava poet Narottam Das Thakur, however, declares that anger may also be used in serving Krishna. Narottam Das gives the example of Hanuman, eternal servant of the Lord Ram, who displayed his great anger in fighting against Ravana and other demoniac enemies of the Lord. Rupa Goswami also wrote in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that a devotee should not tolerate blasphemy to Krishna or to the Vaishnavas, and that is his response might justifiably be transcendental anger. Even Lord Krishna incited the anger of non-violent Arjuna, inducing him to fight, and that fighting was transcendental, whereas Arjun's reluctance to fight was material. Among sentimentalists and impersonalists, however, the image persists that a sadhu should never show anger. When at large Pandal festival in Delhi, Srila Prabhupada had shown anger towards a man who spoke against Krishna. Many in the audience had misunderstood. Some had even walked out. Prabhupada's disciples could accept his anger. They even welcomed it theoretically, but to bear it was difficult. The spiritual master must cut through his student's false ego to engage that student in pure service. The guru's show of anger, therefore, is a good for the disciple. And according to Chanakya Pandit, one should not be lenient with the sons and disciples. Unless he deals strictly with them, he will spoil them. Prabhupada's anger in Vrindavana was not, however, a mere exercise in student training. He strongly desired to see temple solidly established. He trusted that his disciples were sufficiently loyal to him to withstand the pain of chastisement and take it for what it was, mercy. Prabhupada was vigilant about the devotees' attendance at the morning devotional program in the temple. Calling for the temple president, he asked why some devotees were regularly absent. Mangala Arati, he said, was very important and everyone must attend. Punctuality was also important. The exact time for the Mangala Arati would vary according to the clock, he said, but it must always be 1.5 hours before sunrise. Prabhupada would take his morning walk, timing it so he would be back in the temple a few moments before the DT doors were supposed to open for darshana. Once, when he was waiting with all the devotees gathered around, he looked at his watch and then asked Akshananda Swami, "What is the time?" Aware that Srila Prabhupada was speaking with exactitude, Akshananda replied that it was 30 seconds after 7:30. Prabhupada shook his head. With a resigned look, he said, "It is very difficult to be a Brahmana 30 seconds late. Why are they taking so long to dress the deities?" Akshananda explained that deity dressing took about 1.5 hours. "They are simply lazy," Prabhupada replied. "How long it should it take, Srila Prabhupada?" "Half an hour at most." Akshananda was flabbergasted, since he knew of no pujari who could come even close to that. He remained silent. "What is the difficulty?" Prabhupada challenged. "Half an hour at most." So, in the interest of time, dear devotees, we have to stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Swarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. So, anybody has any question, correction, chastisement, or any realization to share?
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna Mother.
Prabhuji, I have a
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavatam book, but you read which page number, right? Because verse 2 I do not understand.
From Bhagavatam Mataji, you are asking the first reading?
Yeah,
Yes.
Canto 1, and I have a part 1, Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam. So
Yes.
I will be reading with you.
Yeah. So Canto 1,
hmm?
chapter 1.
Hmm?
And today we started the second verse
Second
of the
verse
first
means
chapter.
first chapter, and can you tell me page number?
Mataji, I'm reading online.
Online.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
reading online. So, um, but where we left today
Hmm?
is like next time we have to start from less fortunate persons are not at all interested in Shrimad Bhagavatam.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So,
Understand. Thank you, Prabhu.
yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji,
Welcome.
the last portion you said that last is like, 1.5 hour deity dressing is done. Like people
Hmm.
start 5 o'clock
Hmm.
and 6:30, almost everybody done.
Hmm.
So that means 1.5 hour deity dress should be done. Prabhupada said that's true.
No, Prabhupada said half an hour even.
No,
Because
for deity dressing, right? Morning time.
yeah, no. What Prabhupada told is uh, Mangala Arati should be 1.5 hours before sunrise. But
Oh,
but
yeah.
about DT dressing, I mean, because it all depends on the DT size and all those. So at that time, what Prabhupada is telling. I mean, the disciple was telling that it is taking 1.5 hours, and Prabhupada is telling half an hour at most. So
Half an
Prabhupada
hour
was,
done everything?
yes, Prabhupada was challenging the disciple that half an hour should be done everything. But again, because again, Prabhupada, it may be context driven, because that time, whatever the size of the devotee, right? Size of the deity, right?
Yeah.
If the deity size is big, and then the more paraphernalia, then of course accordingly. But at that point of time, whatever deity was there, right?
Yeah.
I was saying it should take half an hour at most. It seemed like, Prabhupada challenged their disciples that his lunch, somebody cooking, it was taking more than 2 hours. And Prabhupada was showing that within 1 hour he can cook 9 dishes. And he did that in 1 hour he cooked 9 dishes. So I think it's all about, of course, practice, and then senior devotee guidance, like who are experience holder. So these two things, Mataji, are important, because even I can personally relate. Like I do the Srila Prabhupada dressing service. So when I learned initially, it took a lot of time for me, because I was doing very slowly, carefully, because I was learning. But once I learned, I observed that I was able to save like 20-30 minutes sometime. Uh, so it's all about practice, your focus, and a senior devotee guidance. These three things I feel in DT service: senior devotee guidance, your focus, and practice. Focus is more important, because sometimes when we do DT dressing, our mind is going somewhere, right? So,
In
uh,
a cooking, if everything ready, it's possible in 1 hour. Yeah, because a lot of time.
hmm,
We prepared everything and then it's get done so quick. Yeah. So
correct, correct. Yeah, prepare. Yeah, you are absolutely right, Mataji. Preparation plays a great role. If the
yeah.
preparation, everything is prepared, then yes, definitely. But if something is not prepared and you have to go back and reshuffle stuffs, then definitely.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's
Thank
nice
you.
reading. Yes.
Yes. Anybody has any other question? So, dear devotees, there are two main learning, right? The one is the second verse, the dharma projita kaitava, right? That that verse is very important actually, because if you see the translation, right, that verse, that our service should not be materially motivated, right? It should be for the service or pleasing Krishna. Then you will relish the more benefit of that. If the service is materially motivated, right, then you will not relish the full thing. As the Dhruv Maharaj, right? He did all the tapasya, and when Lord appeared, he was saying, "I was looking for the broken pieces of glasses," right? Because when we identify our body with ourselves, thinking that this body is all in all, and we think that this material life is all in all, then our every aim of service is only bodily thing. But on the other hand, because we are spiritual, we are not material, right? Of course, in same Bhagavatam, it says akama, sarvakama, moksha kama, udharadi. Even if you have material desire, you should ask for Krishna, which is also true. That even we have material desire, we should ask for Krishna. But but we should not focus only on the material side, saying that, oh, I'm doing this because I'm getting. So when I don't get, then I will leave the service, or we lose the interest in the service. No, it should not be. So apratihata, right? Even we have adverse situation in life, we should still continue service. It is easy to say than done, right? But unless we know the fundamentals, right? In difficult situation, our service will go down, and that is the test. And you ask any devotee, Krishna tests their devotee, okay? And without test, right? It's like a iron, right? Or gold. When we have to make some jewelry, right? Gold has to be burned. So, so all the tapasya we have to go through. But Krishna gives all the strength. Right? Many difficult situation comes in devotee's life. So, but those situation will make you more tougher and also improve yourself. Otherwise, why Kunti ji will say that let the difficulties come, right? Something should be there. Otherwise, lady like Kunti ji, right, such a great personality, why Kunti ji will call that word? Because when difficulty comes, do not think that we are anatha. No, we are sanatha. Krishna gives all the strength for that. So this verse, reading is good, but we should meditate that why they are saying this thing, right? And this Srimad Bhagavatam is so good, dear devotees, that we should, whenever we have opportunity, we should read some sort of that, some piece, even one snippet or two lines, few lines, right? Because it is so good. Each word is like dipped in devotion. So that's one learning. Second learning, what Prabhupada, Leelamrita, right? That the anger, what Prabhupada showed, and then as Chanakya Pandit says that anger is required, but anger should not control you. We should control anger, right? So sometimes anger is required, but as long as it is to improve the service of Krishna, or to protect the service of Krishna, or to defend Krishna's teachings, or to defend if somebody is blaspheming any devotee or blaspheming Krishna. In either of the case, anger can be engaged. Only one quality which cannot be engaged is enviousness. And in Bhagavatam, we'll see in future chapter that enviousness we cannot be engaged in service of Krishna. So that is why, what to speak of devotional line, even in material life, we should not feel envious. Even in material life, we should not feel envious from with other. And there is a difference between jealousy and enviousness. Jealousy is when somebody has something you don't have. You are jealous. But enviousness is when somebody have something, you also have that thing, but somebody have more, then you feel envious because that person has more, isn't it? So that's why there's a teaching that when we meet any person lower than you, right, whether it is anyway and in any context, then you should feel compassionate. When you meet a person equal to you, you should feel friendly. And when you meet a person greater than you should be very respectful. So in all the three dealing, where is the enviousness? There is no role of enviousness. Lust, anger, greed, or everything you can use in the service of Krishna, but not the enviousness. And what Prabhupada had showed is for the improvement of, because he is the true well-wisher, right? So that's why when our spiritual master comes, right, we should not just expect that he always keep praising us. Rather than that time, we should speak very less and let spiritual master to speak more. But often we do ulta. When spiritual master come, we try to speak more, show off more what we have done, right? Rather, we should hear more, thinking that I don't know anything, but I want to spend time with my spiritual master, the more time. And it is very difficult. The more we meet our spiritual master, sometimes we become so familiar. It's like Haridwar, right? In Haridwar, if you go, you will see that some people on the street, they were waiting for the municipality water to take bath. Half mile away, the Ganges is flowing, and from 1,000 miles people come to take bath in Ganges. And the person in the Haridwar is waiting for municipality water to take bath. Why? because that person feel that, hey, anytime I can go to Ganges and take bath. So that familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes we become so familiar with spiritual master or senior devotee that we take it granted. So whatever time they are here with us, right, that time is crucial. The more we can serve them, the more we can gain from them, the more we can learn from them. That is actually required. But often we take it granted for that. So these are a couple of things just came to my mind while reading. So I thought to share. Please forgive me if I have not read properly. Anybody has any other thing before we continue chanting? Right. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Anant Koti Vaishnav की जय. Thank you, dear devotees, for listening to me.